Here's an AMI This Week shortcut with Beth Deer.
My name is Slavocek. I'm a metal sculptor, artisan blacksmith, owner, proprietor of my studio called Metal Urges.
So this was actually my first shoot for AMI, and I was so nervous, especially when I found out what kind of pro Slavo is. He has some really amazing metal sculptures, to say the least. His beautiful pieces are displayed in private estates and in public, but luckily he is the sweetest guy and made me feel really comfortable.
Are both abstract and representational.
My guide dog Patronus and I decided to visit Slavo at his studio to see how he creates his work. We chose some heavy metal for the background music here, but I've always been more of an Ed Sheeran or Adele kind of girl.
I've got this round metal circle here. It's about ½ inch thick and probably about 14 inches in diameter. These flat metal pieces that I've cut, that I'm going to clamp to this and by hand just roll it into a nice gentle arc.
His workshop is really cool, and the smell was interesting. It's almost like if you smelled a handful of coins.
So what we're going to do is we're going to take this vice grip and clamp it on one side. And then just basically use our muscle power. Okay.
You know what I almost said here? So you're Iron Man for more than one reason, but I didn't because I thought it was kind of weird.
It's actually pretty heavy. You're pretty strong.
Now it's time to test my strength. I've got my safety glasses on, and I'm also putting on Slavo's massive working gloves. And now it's Beth versus metal. Beth versus metal makes me laugh. I gotta be honest here though, after bending a couple of the flat 1/4 inch pieces that were about 1.5 feet long, and then the heavy hammering he later had me do, I was so sore. I could barely move my arms for like 3 days afterwards.
Some of the techniques that I use are hand hammering, grinding. It's a very physical form, bending metal.
Some of Slavo's sculptures are massive. His largest piece was 5 foot tall and 24 feet wide and had to be installed with a crane.
Metal is the most recyclable, environmentally friendly material that is. Like it basically has no end date. All metals can be recycled almost to infinity.
After bending several more of the metal half moons, I put on a welding mask, and Slavo started welding pieces of metal upright until they began to resemble long strands of grass blowing in the wind. Hey, there's Patronus, who, by the way, was sort of freaked out from all the welding. Not really for himself, but worried for me. He's such a good boy.
When I'm creating my work, it really depends on the piece. Sometimes texture is not part of the complete element of the sculpture, but in particular...
Slavo's work is pretty inspiring. I used to really be into drawing, painting, and ceramics. I have to say, when I went home, I actually started up on some coloring with textured velvet pictures.
So the technique that I use is tiny little low-temperature spot welds to create the texture of the coat of the bison. So it's quite important in that aspect.
So these protective glasses he had me wear were covered in soot and left these hilarious raccoon eye marks on my face. And it took me forever to wash them off, especially because I could barely lift my arms afterwards. This bison sculpture was really cool.
His body's a smooth texture, and then once you get up to around his shoulders, it's very bumpy. And then he has the cutest little horns.
So there's a lot of different ways we find our stories here, and how we found Slavo was because one of our co-workers at AMI, Jim Crisco, went to high school with him. And he thought it would be a good story, and well, he was right. Also, FYI, if you ever meet Jim Crisco at an event or see him online, we all call him Jimmy Bean Dip, because well, he likes bean dip, but who doesn't? Anyway, thank you for watching, and if you want to watch Metal Urges without my lovely commentary, it's on our YouTube channel. Bye!